Dr. Onji, Dr. Juliet. Welcome to GNU Inspire, and I cannot wait to start this conversation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ngeta. Wait, did I get that right?
You did.
Thank you so much for having me here. I've been watching your videos and also following your journey, so I'm really excited to be here today and be chatting with you.
Great. Dr. Onji, I wanted to make it easy for you. And I know you come from Kumasi. I have a long story with Ghana. I was in Kumasi in 2022 attending a wedding.
Oh,
I love Ghana so much that they gave me a Ghanaian name. So you can call me Dr. Akosua. That will do.
So I'm assuming they gave you Akosia because maybe
I was born on a Sunday.
Sunday. Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
Well, I'm also Akosia.
You cannot. Wow, this is coincidence. I haven't seen it in your official name.
Yes. So at home, I'm called Akosia Intiamwa, the Akosia with my very last name. That is how I'm called at home. And at school, I just use the Juliet Intiamwa. But anybody who knows me at home calls me Akosia or Akos.
Wow. Yeah. That is coincidental. And is it Akosia or is it I at the end or
No?
UA?
It's UA. So it's UA, and although it's Akosia, normally we shorten it to say Akos.
Akos. Perfect.
Yes.
They didn't tell me about this, so I'm gonna write it down and I'll be Akos.
Akos.
Gladys Akos. Good. Okay. Wonderful. Oh my God. I was telling you, I really admire your career, your educational and career journey, which we will talk a lot about today. Coming from Kumasi in Ghana to the US and kicking A in the corporate world. So Juliet, let's start from tell us where you are based actually. Just tell us where you're based and what you do. I know you are a wastewater process engineer. So tell us where you're based and what you do, and then we'll pick up from there.
All right. Thank you, Gladys. So just a little clarification. So although I'm an Ashanti from the Ashanti region where our capital is Kumasi, my actual hometown is called Odubi.
Oh.
It's in the Ashanti region. So it's Asantachim Odubi.
Okay.
But Kumasi is also where I schooled, where I got my bachelor's degree.
Yeah. So that is interesting. Yes, true. Because I picked it from LinkedIn. Like that is where you did your undergrad. Okay.
Yeah. So I stayed there. I stayed in Kumasi for about 4 years while I was doing my undergraduate, and it's not too far from my hometown, like I said, because we are in the same region. But yeah, currently I'm based in the US, specifically in Tennessee, around the Nashville area, and I'm working in engineering consulting, specifically with Jacobs Engineering, and it's the, I'll say, number one engineering firm or engineering consulting firm in the US, and I specifically do more of wastewater process engineering. And just to give a high level of what that means, Gladys, I'm sure you flushed your toilet today, you've taken a bath today. Now all that water that you've used has to go somewhere where it's treated well, to remove any pathogens, to remove all contaminants, make it clean again before it's returned into the environment. So the technology that we'll use to treat that, the chemicals that we'll use, all the engineering that goes behind making that water safe again to get into the environment is what we do. And it's a fascinating small niche industry, and I've been doing this for close to 6 years now.
Oh my God. We will not, because I know my audience, they're diverse in terms of background, so we will not go a lot deeper, but we'll still talk about being a woman in STEM or woman in engineering, which is super inspirational. But even before we go there, I'm curious to know how did you find yourself there? Why did you study engineering and not other, say, STEM or not other field? How did you come into engineering?
Very interesting. I'll say that I stumbled into engineering. A few years ago, or let's say a decade ago, if someone had told me, okay, a decade ago I was in the US, but let's say when I was doing my undergrad, if someone had told me that some years to come I'll be a licensed professional engineer in the US. I'll be like, how will that be possible? So this is what happened. In Ghana, I did my bachelor's in environmental science. And I did environmental science because I had a friend. So at the time where I finished high school, you know, you look at the grades you got, you look at the cutoff points for different courses at the public universities, and you try to gauge which one can my grades, you know, align with, and also align with my interest. So the thing is, in Ghana at the time, if let's say you even want to do medicine, you need to we write 8 subjects: English, biology, all those STEM courses. If you want to do medicine, you have to get like all straight A's, for example. So if you don't get all straight A's, you have to look at, okay, what are your options? Can I do pharmacy? Can I do other engineering courses or something like that? So bottom line, I looked at the grades that I got out of high school, and then I was looking at, okay, what courses can I do within STEM, because I did most STEM courses in high school, and that was because I was interested. So I had a friend whose elder sister was doing environmental science, and I talked to her. I was like, what's this course about? You know, where can you work after you complete, and all of that. And I'll say that she was so patient. I'll say she was my first mentor in this regard. You know, she taught me that, oh, after you're done, you can work in, you know, environmental protection agency, you can do this, you can do that. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. She said you can work in UN and all of that. So I was like, okay, it sounds interesting. My grades can help me. I can get into that program with my grades. So I'm going to choose that at KNUST. And then on another site, I think in another school, I got admitted for computer science. So at the end of the day, I had to choose between computer science at University of Cape Coast and environmental science at KNUST. And I chose environmental science. So the whole time when I was doing environmental science, I thought, okay, I can also work in mining or oil and gas industry, helping them with, you know, environmental remediation and all of that. So that was what was in my head. Now, fast forward, I finished school, and I had a friend who was doing his master's at Tennessee Tech, and came across a professor who had a very cool project of turning like waste into renewable energy, and was looking for a student. And this friend talked to the professor about me and connected us. So anyway, talking about connection and, you know, people linking people. I connected with the professor, and she looked at my transcripts. She was impressed or wanted to, you know, have me in her lab. But the program was civil and environmental engineering. So I was like, how am I going to be doing engineering with my environmental science bachelor's degree? And the school, I had to write the GRE and everything, and the school admitted me, but then there were some courses that I had to do. I had to sit in one undergrad class to do hydraulics, so it's like I had to do some courses in engineering to bring me up to speed, and then also working on the research part. So at the end of the PhD, I had learned so much about environmental engineering. And guess what? The first job I got was in engineering. And that was where I actually trained to become a professional licensed engineer. So it's like, let's say one thing led to another. I didn't plan to become an engineer, but the opportunities came, and I think I also psyched myself up to grab them and put my best efforts in. And then I also believe in conviction. I think I had a strong conviction, and if you're a person of faith like me, all that also plays a role. And I believe that also played a role, because previously I was thinking of, after my bachelor's, I'll go and do maybe a master's in UK, 1 year do, you know, environmental management or something, right? But when this environmental engineering or civil environmental engineering opportunity came, I had a strong conviction to go for it. And I was afraid, I'll be honest, because it was like I didn't fully know what I was stepping into, and it was a direct PhD. So imagine having just a bachelor's, stepping into a direct PhD in engineering program. That was like, at a point I felt like I had bitten more than I could chew, but grit, resilience, strong conviction, all that pushed me through. So that is a long answer to the question of how I
Yeah.
ended up in
No,
engineering.
I love your answer. Please make them as long as possible, because what we are trying to do here is to highlight different stories and different journeys that people have traveled and the reasons why they traveled those journeys, just so that whoever students, graduate students, whoever is listening can learn a thing or two, or at least be comfortable, or be comfortable or affirmed that this is how people, like, we have different journeys. That is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And that is very that is very interesting about using conviction, because I think when people also ask me how I got here, I didn't have I think some people just have a blueprint, like they have a I don't know, like well laid out strategy, like
Plans,
5-year, 10-year strategy, or where they want to go. But yes, same. I think I've mostly been using conviction. Like every junction, whenever I have 2 or 3 opportunities, it's mostly been like, that conviction, like where am I? Sometimes it doesn't make sense.
Yes.
But I've been using conviction a lot, and it was interesting to hear that from your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about, I want us to spend more time on your graduate school time. You are passionate. I know you are passionate about talking about grad school. We'll talk later about your YouTube channel and what you try to do there. But yes, let's talk more about your graduate school. So what was your PhD in, number one? And then let's spend more time there. Funding issue. I know there is a video you made about what you've learned on funding.
Yes.
So let's spend more time there on funding, and think about that student who is currently finishing their undergrad in Ghana, and they want to come to the US for grad school. What are some of the funding options they should start considering? Maybe useful links, etc. Let's spend time there, Juliet, and then we will transition to post PhD and what students who want to remain in the US need to start doing.
Yeah, sounds good. So grad school funding, I would say that if you're doing a PhD, if you're coming to the US to do a PhD, you should only do it, or you should only come if you have full funding in the US. And the reason I say that is because it's a 5-year, 6-year journey, and it's almost like working. You're contributing to science, or you're contributing to the body of knowledge, right, through the research work that you're doing. So if you don't have funding, it'll become very difficult. And in the STEM fields, for example, you're not just going to be paying your tuition and your living expenses. Things like, your research, how is it going to be funded? You can't out of your pocket be buying chemicals, or to be paying for equipment to do your research. So I'm just saying this so that, because I've heard people ask me, should they take a loan to do a PhD in civil engineering, or should they pursue it on personal funds? I would say that if it's a master's, a 1-year, 2-year master's, and you have personal funds, or you even want to take a loan to do it, it's a short time investment. You're not spending like half a decade of your life on that, right? You are likely to get a job maybe after school, and then to see how best to pay it back. But for a PhD, I want listeners to focus on getting full funding. Now, how do you get that full funding? And I think one of your first question was what my PhD was in. So my PhD was in civil and environmental engineering, specifically environmental engineering. So my funding was through research assistantship. So the way research assistant works is that you have a professor that you're working with, and you're working towards a common goal. So your professor normally has external funding, maybe from National Science Foundation, or from NASA, or from any of these organizations, to conduct research to help them understand something. So that is where ultimately the funding is coming from, and your professor has hired you as a PhD student or research assistant to help conduct the research. So that is how it works. And with that, they pay your tuition and then they give you a monthly stipend. There are some schools that will add, let's say, health insurance to it. There are other schools that you have to figure out your own health insurance and all of that. But the big tickets, that is the tuition and monthly stipend, is typically covered for. That is research assistant. You are just doing research. And then there is graduate assistantships, where it can be teaching assistant, being a teaching assistant. Sometimes departments need, instructors or teaching assistants to help some professors grade students, or even to teach some courses, right? Or to even provide additional tuition to students who need additional tutoring or additional, supports, right? So those students also get their tuition waived and get some monthly stipend. And then there is another form of graduate assistantship, which is not research assistant, it's not teaching assistant, but it's like campus employment. So let's say the library can employ you, where you have certain hours during the day that you go sit at the library, and if someone is picking up a book or returning a book, you check that in for the person, and they'll pay your tuition and also give you a monthly stipend. And then sometimes even the departments will want an assistant like that to help with administrative stuff. So these are the assistantships or the forms of funding that I recommend people to pursue. And you can complement all of these with additional external funding. Like, I know you talk a lot about Rhodes Scholar. In the US, I don't think we have it here, right? It's only for Oxford.
Yeah.
So here in the US, other external scholarships besides the one you get in school that you can pursue. One of them is the Schlumberger Faculty for the Future, and that is for women in STEM doing PhD programs. And it's a very generous scholarship. I think they give like 50,000 or more a year to awardees. So that is also something that if you're a woman in STEM, you can check into and pursue. And then there is the American Association of University Women, AAUW, International Scholarships. And that is also for international women. So those of us from Africa qualify for it. And for them, they even give both master's, PhD, and postdocs. And their funding is mainly for stipend. So if you have tuition waiver or some tuition support, and you also get this for your stipend, it goes a long way. So I'll say, and then there are other additional funding sources that are very niche and specific, to maybe specific disciplines, maybe for chemists or for biomedical engineers and all of that. Those ones are hard to find, but there are some there. So that is in a nutshell how I would want people to approach the funding process. And I'll say that let loans be the very least or the last thing you consider. And for PhD, it's a no. If you're doing a master's and you're not getting funding and you think you want to get other forms of supporting yourself, loans should be the last thing.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Like PhD, I hope there was another way, but it can be expensive, and without funding, either you are really okay financially and you can fund it yourself, but without that, it becomes really difficult. And already the PhD is hard and draining. Yeah, so to think about finances on top of that is crazy. Yeah. Tell us. So we will transition to, and this is something you're passionate about, something I'm also super passionate about. Mm-hmm. We were chatting earlier about how I personally, naively, thought that if I have a PhD from a really good uni, then getting a job or job opportunities afterwards would be really easy. I was wrong. And I was telling you, there is literally 1 year that I was applying. I applied for jobs. I was like, there is something wrong. 100% something wrong. Either with me or Okay, three things. Either with me, my application, or the employer. Like there is something wrong somewhere. There is no way I have a very good certificate, a very good degree. I thought I like skills and research skills I had. But then why am I not getting any why even email to say we saw your application? Yeah. It's only later that a friend was telling me you are doing it wrong. And you were telling me you know the secret. So for all the graduate students who are thinking a lot about exiting a PhD and thinking about post PhD opportunities, either in academia, industry, wherever, and especially those who want to. So you are sharing your experiences in the US. So for those students who want to remain in the US and maybe tap into opportunities in the US, what are some of the things, Juliet, they need to start thinking about, like practical things they need to start doing now?
Yeah, and talking about putting in tons of applications, I'm sure sometimes you put in an application, the previous night, you wake up in the morning to see rejection, right?
Yeah, so sometimes it even felt like an automatic
Yes.
whatever email reply. It wasn't like human at all.
Yes, and before I go into answering the question, I think the worst response I got was two. I think two experiences that really stick in my mind. One was that I got an email that said, "Dear first name, thank you for applying." So I was like, oh my God, whatever software or whatever they are using couldn't even address me as Dear Juliet. Thank you for it was like dear first name. And the first name was, I was like, oh my God, so I'm so insignificant.
Oh no.
Yes. So it can be painful, generally applying, and the rejections will just come like generally as well. It almost sounds like they didn't even recognize you, and that dear first name was very painful to read. The second painful one was I actually had a very good interview with a company and everything. I was following up, how is it going? I'm expecting da da da. And they were like, okay, you hear from us. And then I got a letter in the mail. Gladys, this is 2019. I got a letter in the mailbox, a hard copy rejection letter. In America, I have never heard of that before.
Okay, well, that also okay. That hurts more. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was terrible. So how do you actually approach it to avoid some of these painful experiences and to increase your chances of getting? Gladys, earlier I was sharing with you that in the US, most positions are filled with what we call referral. 50%. That's what statistics is showing. It could be more, right? 50% of positions are filled through referrals. And why do companies do referrals or favor referrals? It's because companies want to cut down costs through recruitment. It's a lot of time for their recruiters to go through hundreds of applications to shortlist 20 or 10, to schedule individual interviews with all 10 applicants, and then move some to final interview stage and all of that. And then sometimes even when they've found the right person based on paper, they do criminal checks and they realize that, oh, we can't go forward with this person because this person has this issue or that. Or sometimes they do drug tests, that medical test, and then they realize, oh no, we can't go forward with this person. So now they almost have to start the whole process again. That is time consuming, and it's into their budgets. So the thought is that if Gladys is working with us, we know that she's a great employee. If Gladys can recommend someone for us, chances are that that person is as level-headed as Gladys. That person also doesn't have any issues. Chances are that Gladys is bringing us an excellent candidate as herself. So companies even go ahead to incentivize the employees by giving referral bonuses to say that, hey, if we want to fill these positions, if you have a friend or a candidate that you can refer for us to talk to, and we go through the process and hire the person, we are going to give you X $1,000. And that X $1,000 they'll give to you as referral bonus is way cheaper than the amount of time and energy they'll spend in going through all the hundreds of applications that people have put in. So that is the I'll say some of the reasons behind why referrals are so important. So when you are applying for jobs, having this in mind, you need to know that maybe you are the 4th year of your PhD. It means that you are at a good time to start really nurturing networks, nurturing connections. So you go to a conference, you meet people, you introduce yourself, you make good connections, you follow up. You don't let it end there at the conference center or whatever. You go home, you connect with the people on LinkedIn and send a message. Oh, it was great meeting you at this conference. I remember your talk on this. I'm even researching along those lines, or it piqued my interest. Just something to have a conversation going. And then with time, you can even let them know that, oh, I've seen a role in your organization. I'm planning on applying. Do you mind having a 10 minutes talk with me so that I can learn more about your position and I can learn more about your company? People are generous. Some will respond, others will not respond. But the few people who respond, chances are that they can put in a word for you. Applying, you are not just adding to the pool, but you are going to stand out because someone in the company mentioned you. And sometimes they can even send you a link, like a referral link that you can apply through. So your application immediately skips all the all the other applicants. It puts yours on top of everybody else. And these are real strategies that work. And then, do you know the other interesting thing? There is this what we call hidden positions. Sometimes companies do not even have open positions, but if I go to my manager and say, oh, I met this young woman called Gladys, she has a PhD in this, she's great, I think she'll be a great addition to our team and everything, my manager can say, let's have lunch with her and see. And through the lunch and through talking to you and all of that, the company can open a position for you. And it happens. Just to share one story, I think at the beginning of this year, I was checking up on a friend and we're talking, and I mentioned to him that there is this guy who just finished his master's in geotech engineering and he's looking for a position. I want to connect you to him. And he was like, okay, yeah, no problem. Let him connect with me. So they connected. He sent his resume to him and all of that. And my friend spoke to his boss about him. His boss, they decided to open a position for him. Now, when they opened the position, other people saw it and applied too, right? And then they did the interview. And at the end of the day, he was already shortlisted because the position was actually open for him. And he did well at the interview too. So let me also say this. If someone refers you, it doesn't also mean automatic. It means that you should also do your homework and show up very well. Okay, because like I said, if they open the position and others see it and apply, and by law, they have to give people fair chance, right? So they have to interview them and score them. So you have gotten a step ahead, but you need to prepare and take advantage of it fully. So he did, and at the end of the day, he got hired. But that position was initially not opened. It's only opened because there had been conversations at the back end. So if you are in your final year, you shouldn't even wait for your final year. I mean, right from the program, I know that the first few years it could be challenging because you're trying to balance coursework and research and everything, but always make time to connect. Always make time to attend conferences. Always make time to, attend career fairs. Very important, career fairs. And if you're an engineering student, National Society of Black Engineers, you should attend that career fair. That is how I got my job. Career fairs. Tons of companies will show up. You research before you go, so you target certain companies And you go, and these are real people that, you know, you're going to strike conversations with. And even if you don't get a job, then you find somebody to add to your connection, to your contact, and you follow up. I went to National Society of Black Engineers conference, I think 3 times, right? In my second year, in my third year. Both years I made some connections, but it was in my final year that I actually got a job. So you don't just sit focused on your books and focused on your lab work and focused on crunching out papers, journal papers, and thinking that you are coming out of school with 10 publications, groundbreaking research, and automatically, or let's say Oxford, MIT, and automatically it's going to get you the job. Groundwork that you need to do, networking, expanding your networking, is going to make it so much easier. It'll lead you to applying to, let's say, 10 jobs and getting a job than doing like 100 applications and getting rejections after rejections.
Oh gosh, you know, it's the reason why I like to share stories here, because these are things that if you do not know someone in the space, you will never know. I literally spent 1 year sending out applications blindly, and I did not know I was doing it wrong. And then there is also something we need to mention, like I think most universities, especially in the US, I've learned, they have career office or department, and literally people are hired to help students like land jobs. So I would say there is also another resource that you should use. The first thing to do is to draft a very good resume, cover letter, and then you make sure you visit the career office to just have a look at it.
Yeah.
You have to do your part of the work as well. And then that is what I did. I literally drafted my resume, and then I had a Zoom call with someone from career office, and they were like, your resume is not written to the detail, not really detailed, but like in a way that employers like to read resumes. And I was like, what? So apparently also the layout and how you write things is very important. Have someone to have a look, draft it nicely, use GPT and YouTube, draft, and then have someone at career whatever to have a look. Another thing, Juliet, that saved my life also, or at least someone mentioned. So yes, attend the conferences, and I really also commend you for the grit and the consistency that you went like 3 times before you landed something. Another thing that I think we also underestimate is LinkedIn. I cannot count the number of times people have DM'd me, and they like some students or like young professionals, and they want a referral, or they want they want something, and just based on how they've written, the communication is really nice. So that is another thing. You need to also learn how to contact people. So that is something that GPT can do, like just draft something and then tell GPT to custom it nicely for whatever. So I've literally given people time, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and this is what they say. They're like, "Oh, hi Gladys." Either they use a commonality. That is what I realized. They are playing emotional intelligence. This is also something, Juliet, that I'm learning late in life. That emotional intelligence is greater or more important than IQ, because it's only later I was like, wait, this to actually get my attention and flatter me. So they'll be like, "Oh, Gladys, I see we share a similar institution. I also did a PhD at Oxford, and I really admire your career so far. Would you be willing to chat with me 5 minutes on?" And then they give like really tangible things they want, like, "Oh, number 1, what was your experience applying for this job? And then number 2, how was your experience?" Juliet, let me tell you, they played EQ on me, and I've given people like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So just to say, LinkedIn is also super powerful, and if you craft your message really nicely and use your EQ, you can get attention from so many people. And then from there, another student, after I chatted with them like 5 minutes, they waited for me to chat with them. Then they later were like, "Thank you, Gladys. I learned so much from our conversation. By any chance, would you mind getting a referral link from the company for me?" And I was like, wait. Like, I even did not know that I could get a referral link. And then it's only later that I was chatting with HR, and HR was like, "Of course, Here is how you generate a referral link, and the person can apply." And I was like, wait, this thing should be taught as a unit in school.
Yes.
So anyway, because the universities are not teaching it, let's teach it
Yes.
here in our online university. So anyway, that is something that changed my life, and literally, it's when I learned that I actually landed a couple, multiple like interviews, interviews and options. Another thing that I was told, this is now from our career office at the uni. I was told to also target recruiters. So you go, so say you want to join Jacob's engineering company. So you go to LinkedIn and then you search that company, and then you filter for people and then filter recruiters. And then you have to craft a very good, catchy, emotional, intelligent message, because you can imagine recruiters, and I guess they get like millions of millions of whatever. So yours has to stand out, and then maybe send your resume. Hopefully the resume has been you've crafted it really well, and they are always looking for quality professionals, quality people. And so if you can catch their eye, literally my message and my CV got an eye of 2 recruiters using that method on LinkedIn. And literally you have to give an ask. So literally I was like, would you mind chatting with me over Zoom for 10 minutes? I have a couple of questions, including number 1, 2. And they literally chatted with me, and a recruiter told me, send the application using this link, and immediately you send, email me. Literally they are giving you a shortcut. Anyway, sorry. So I can go on and on about these tips and tricks that people don't know. And if you don't talk with people, if you don't spend time to listen to things like this, you will never know.
You'll never know, and you just sit in your room and be applying. And one thing is that, even just to add to finding the recruiters on LinkedIn and all of that, sometimes when you see a position, sometimes LinkedIn even lets you see who posted it or which recruiter posted it, and you can reach out to that recruiter and even say that, oh, I saw that there's this position that is open. I would say that immediately you let the recruiter sees that, okay, you are referring to this specific position, and you are telling him or her why you think you're fit, but you still want additional information based on ABC and all of that. So it's a whole resource out there that we can use. And I hope that people learn from all the conversations we are having, and it helps.
100%. So we will I know we can go on and on and on and on about this topic, but I was curious, just because of time, Juliet, we are nearing the end. I was curious to know, because we are chatting also about careers, from if you do your own reflection to the journey you've traveled with the career, you are thriving, you are growing, and I know you are aiming higher. If you could just share with us, especially from the woman in STEM, or just, I don't know, an international African trying to navigate the US, corporate America, share like top 3 things that you've learned, or that you've personally used or intentionally used to thrive in your career, or things that, I don't know, or when you reflect, like things that you do differently in the few years you've been in the industry.
So I would say that first thing, and I believe that a lot of women or international students or Black women will remember this imposter syndrome thing. I would say it almost doesn't go away, right? But especially at the beginning, but you need to find a way to silence it, or you need to find a way to silence it in a way. And this is what I mean. So as I narrated, I stumbled into engineering, right? So this is where I found myself in the biggest engineering consulting firm. Everybody, very sharp, has engineering background and knows all the pipes and valves and all of that stuff. And I feel like, oh my God, it won't be too long they find out like I really don't have to be here. and but I always kind of countered it, and I thank God for that. I always countered it with things like, well, if they find out whatever, it just means I'm not a good fit for here. It doesn't mean I'm bad. Like, I'm still excellent. I'm still a great academic, or I'm still a great PhD. I'm great. It's just that I may not be a good fit. So that immediately, like, I realized that as the thoughts comes to my mind, and I just say that I'm great. If this doesn't work, it just means I was not a good fit, or this place was not a good fit for me. Immediately, that thought is shut down. And I'm able to focus, and I'm able to. So I realized that as I did that for a while, my confidence began growing. And then also I devoted time to learning, learning from people. And with time, I'll say the confidence has way overshadowed imposter syndrome. So you need to have some form of affirmations that you either tell yourself either every morning, once a week, whatever works for you. But some affirmations that, reaffirms that you deserve to be here, or you're a great person. Even if, this place is not great for you, you're still a great person. You find a place that you'll be a great fit. That for me was helpful. So whatever self-talk, make sure your self-talk is not negative, because there are already so many things around that will make it negative, that might give you some negative signal. Oh, look, you're in a room with 20 people, you're the only black here. You're in a room with 30 people, you're the only woman here. And in engineering and very technical field like that, you most likely always find yourself being either the only woman or the only black woman, the only black person in there. And it will immediately make you feel that you don't have to be here, or, it will already be giving you negative vibes. But you need to make sure that you have that counter affirmation, that positive affirmation. I'm great, I'm here, I'm going to listen in, I'm going to contribute. That really helps. It helps me, and I believe that having whatever works for you, but you should be able to tell yourself something positive. And like I said, people do morning affirmations. You can be doing weekly affirmations, whatever works for you, but you need some positive self-talk. That goes a long way. It has helped me a lot. So now when I go in a room and I'm the only black, I recognize it, but it does. I don't let it. I don't focus so much on it. It's like, okay, yeah, it's still going on. Like life or the meeting is still going on, and that is helpful. And if you're a Christian, there's so many very wonderful verses in the Bible, and that you can use for affirmations, or you can use your own words. Whatever it is that works for you, make sure you are giving yourself some positive talk. It's so important. And then the second thing that I've seen has been so impactful for me is self-advocacy. And I'm going to say, even with getting a job initially, right? I tell my mentees that, hey, you should negotiate your first offer. And some people are like, no, when you're international students and it's already been hard to get a job, right? And then now you're given an offer and you're going to negotiate, like they don't want to hear it. But sometimes I'm like, just ask for 3% more. 3% is not like super huge, but 3% is going to save you almost a year worth of work, because in the US normally at the end of the year, merit raises is like you're going to get 3%. So if you can negotiate for at least 3% upfront, that is like a whole year of raise that you've gotten. And you know that your base really forms the foundation of any future raises. So if you're getting 3% or 5% or whatever, is based on your base. So if you can negotiate to get a good base at the beginning, you are setting yourself up for very good financial situation. Mm-hmm. Now, even if you don't negotiate initially because it's hard, because you're very happy you've gotten your first offer, you don't want to sound or look bad or in it. And I'll say that I negotiated my first offer, although I felt like the ground should open for me to swallow me. Yeah. So, and I got it, and I was surprised. I was like, oh wow. Now once you're in the job and you're doing a very good job and everything, make sure that you just don't make sure that you're still maintaining contacts with people in similar organizations, similar roles, and be talking, keep the networking and conversations going, and be looking around. Okay, so what are people in this role at this time getting, and compared to what you're getting. And so let's say maybe after 2 years or something, you know that you've been doing a very good job, you've been getting good annual reviews or feedback and all of that, be able to have a conversation with your manager that and very professional about it. And before you come in, you've done your research and everything. I know I've been here for 2 years. I know these were the expectations for me. I think from past 2 annual reviews and feedbacks I've gotten, I'm more than meeting expectations, I'm outperforming and all of that. But I see that when I compare my compensation to maybe industry standards, I see that maybe I'm 10% short or something. And let your manager say, oh, we'll look into that. Or okay, maybe we can do 5% or whatever. Gladys, I can tell you that in the space of 6 years that I've been there, I've self-advocated for myself unashamedly at least twice and have gotten the raises that I wanted. And I was talking to a friend and I said, if I had not done any of these and had sat quiet and, wanting to be a nice person and likable and everything, I could be about $30,000 short of what I'm getting at.
Wow.
And these are real. And especially for Black women, we typically end up here. So if you are not checking and, asking and advocating for yourself, you might be passed on for a promotion, you might be passed on for, any increment, but you will be doing a very good job. So good job alone does not get you so far. Self-advocacy is also important, and it's a whole skill that we don't talk so much about or even how to approach it. So that is one. The last thing I'll say is, take personal branding seriously. So on LinkedIn, make sure you're taking your personal branding seriously. And at the end of the day, you want to make yourself attractive, not just to your current employer, but also to your future employers as well, right? So take your personal branding seriously, what you post, how you post, keeping networks with people in other organizations. Don't let your networking cease because you found a job. Let your networking continue so that now you hear of layoffs here and there and all of that, so that I won't say when, God forbid, if something like that were to happen, you're not going to start from scratch. You already have good nurtured relationships with people in similar organizations that you can reach out to, that can say, oh, Gladys, we have something here, so let us have you. So these 3 things, I'll say that if you want to thrive in corporate America as a Black woman, be conscious of these 3 things. Know how you can shut the voice of imposter syndrome. I shared how I do mine, and it has worked for me. Know how to self-advocate for yourself. It's so important. Never think that, in Ghana we have a saying like "Ahwenepa nkasa," like a good bead doesn't shout or doesn't talk. It's like if you're a good bead, you be found, you be.
I mean, I think we have similar culture in Kenya, like being humble, not shouting.
Yes.
Yes.
In the US, you can't get too far with that attitude.
I know. People say blow your own trumpet.
Yeah. You cannot get too far with, you don't like talking, you're very humble. And it doesn't mean we are not humble when we are outspoken. It's just a cultural thing that back home, if you're outspoken, then you are loud, you are arrogant, you're too confident. But here, you need to learn to be confident, and you need to learn to speak up. You need to learn to self-advocate for yourself. And you can do that being very respectful and being, being very professional about it. Like, you don't go to your manager and say, hey, I deserve that. No, you go with a thoughtful approach, and you're saying that, it's based on this and that, I feel I'm 10% short. And so if you can do something about it, I'll be very happy or appreciate. I'll really appreciate. And that's a very nice professional way of doing that. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
the whole process.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing. Oh my God, I've been writing notes as well. I really love those, and I think many people can relate to what you've just said. So thank you for sharing, Juliet. I know you have. We were chatting about creativity and
Yes.
being yeah, people occasionally be like, what is Gladys doing on YouTube? So I also don't know what I'm doing what I'm doing on YouTube, but I just know that there was a creativity or artistic itch that I needed to scratch. And we were talking earlier about when that idea is conceived in your mind, in your soul, in your heart,
Yeah.
you will never be at peace if you do not pursue that and bring those things to the world. Because I think it's I take it like spiritual. I feel like it's a universe or God or whoever higher being that you guys believe in. But I think once that idea, there is a reason why that idea is in your head, in your heart, and not the other person. So anyway, I'm bringing up that to say, I know you also started. I think we started almost same time.
Yeah, I think it was the same
Being
time.
on YouTube, yeah. So I want to share with us, and I will ask my audience to come listen or watch your videos. So tell us about your YouTube channel. What is the name and what do you do there?
All right, thank you. So my YouTube channel is Dr. Onji, and I talk about education, career, and I'll say life in between, anything on personal development, professional development. So similar to the conversations we are having now, so how to apply to grad school programs, and then also how to find a job in the US job market, and other things that help with personal and professional development. Yeah, so I encourage your listeners to check out my YouTube channel. Yeah.
Yes, they will definitely come there. Dr. Onji. Why Onji, by the way? Is it ONJY?
Yes, it's ONJY, and it's actually my name flipped around. So I'm Juliet Ohimen Intiamwa, right? And I made it Ohimen Intiamwa Juliet, and it was ONJ, and I wanted something to add to it to make it sound nice. So I added a Y, so it became Onji.
Jeez. Yeah, I've been trying to figure out why. It sounds really nice, Dr. Onji. But I was trying to figure out where Onji, like, where is that is coming from. Wow,
Yeah.
that is, you are very creative.
Thank you.
And I know there is also a book that you are trying to figure out, and when it comes out, people will know about it. But yeah, Juliet, you're doing amazing. Keep doing what you're doing, inspiring people, sharing our stories. I think it's important to share our stories, especially as Black African women, because I feel like we don't have a lot of career education content from the voices of Black African women. And so let's continue doing that. Anything else we left, Juliet? Otherwise we'll just pause here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Gladys. As I said from the beginning, I love your journey, and I loved your book. And I think I had the outline of my book when I saw your book. I was like, oh my God, this is a sign that I should write the book. So yeah, you inspire me. Thank you so much for having me on your platform. And the last thing I think I would like to add is, for Black women and even anybody, early career, it's very important to find mentors in addition to sponsors. So even at the workplace, if you can find someone that you think can, in addition to the self-advocacy, right? Sometimes others can advocate for you, and that is so important. So as you're moving in, like I said, your networking shouldn't end once you've gotten the job. Network within the company itself, and you find someone who will really have your development at heart and will get to know all the good work you're doing and can put in words for you as well. At the important rooms that you may not be privileged to be in those rooms, the people who can mention your name and say, oh, I think Gladys has been doing a great job. She did this on that project. She did that on that project. Sponsors and advocates are people to find and nurture. At the end of the day, it's nurturing the relationship is a whole lot as well. But just for people to keep that in mind as well.
No, amazing, Julia. Actually, last thing that I like to do normally, because I think it's super reflective and we can learn a lot by reflecting about our own journey. If you were to reflect back to when you were in Ghana and the journey you've traveled, look at this camera. We currently have one camera, but look at the camera, look at this camera and speak to the young girl somewhere in Ghana right now. What will you tell?
Wow.
She's around 18, 17, thereabout, maybe high school, almost end of high school.
Okay.
Only one lesson, only one thing you'll tell.
One thing that I'll tell that 18, 17, 19-year-old, and this is because I don't know if in Kenya you've been seeing similar things, but in Ghana I've been seeing a new generation of people or young people who want to get money fast and quick. I don't know if it's widespread in Africa, like I was saying, but it's been concerning. Back, at 18, 19, I want them to know that trust the process, find very good mentors, and know that every good thing takes time. Every good thing takes time. Now you're looking at me thinking, oh, she has it all. She has a PhD, she's in the US, she's doing this, she's doing that. But guess what? I've done 4 years of undergraduate degree. I've done 5 to 6 years of PhD, and I've worked additional 6 years. It's been several years of putting in consistent work. So if you're seeing us now and you want to be here, which we really hope that you even surpass us, right, in some years to come, trust the process, commit to consistent efforts, and don't be lured by shortcuts, because there is really no shortcuts to anywhere else. It takes time. Every good thing takes time. So trust the process and put in consistent efforts, and it'll take you far.
Every good thing takes time.
Yes.
Thank you, Juliet.